Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a square in a square block. That's what this is, and it's for our second block that we're making for the sampler quilt. So let's come on in here, please, to the mat. I am making a block that is to end up 6.5 inches. Well, it's going to end up at 6 inches. I cut it at 6.5 inches. And the rule for putting these corners on is that you cut squares that are 1/2 of the final, so that would be 6 inches, plus 1/2 inch. So these blocks, little blocks that I've cut, are 3.5 inches. If I were making an 8-inch block, then these would be 4.5 inches. It's just a half plus a half. Then what you do is you take 4 blocks and you make a line diagonally on each of the blocks. And what I do is I try not to go exactly, if you can come in really close here, I'm not going exactly from point to point. I'm backing off a tiny bit. And the reason for that is, as we've said before, when you make a seam, that's why we do scant 1/4 inches. If you put it right on that spot and then fold it, you'll lose a teensy bit on the fold and in where the thread is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place one of these here, and then and I actually put it the wrong way. I'm going to sew on the line, but just a tiny bit. Either if the line is direct, I'm going to sew a tiny bit back from the line. Here I've actually put the line, well, not really. I'm going to sew a little bit behind that line. And the reason is, when I'm finished, I'm going to fold this over on the sewn part, and I don't want it to be short. I want it to get at least all the way to the edge of my back block. So when you start, you sew 1 in one corner and 1 in the opposite corner. You would think that you would just be able to put these down and sew all the way around, but it doesn't work because of the fact that these overlap and you're not going to be able to fold back properly. So you do the opposites, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Here we go. So I've sewn this on here. And I know that some of you believe in no scrap left behind, because what I'm going to do here, after I've sewn it, and after I've made sure that this goes all the way out to the edge, I am going to cut off, grab my scissors, I am going to cut off this triangle. And if you're not attached to keeping scraps, you just fold that back and press it, and you throw these away. However, some people, that breaks their heart. So if you want to use this, you sew on the correct line, and you check that that's going to work. It's going all the way out to the corner. Then you sew a 1/2 inch away from it. So I also made a stitch line here. And now when I cut between, I have this correct, and I also have this nice little half square triangle that I can keep. And I don't know how you sort your scraps. You could put that in an orphan block boxer bag. You could put that with squares, or even if you make a whole bunch of half square triangles. And you could use this as a cornerstone in sashing, in a border. There are ways to use these, especially if you're making a whole bunch. So if you want to do that and it hurts you to throw away scraps, you can do that. So now I have this made, and I'm going to bring it over here and press it. Press it to the outside and press this one to the outside. And now I can come back and put the other opposite corners on, and you can see that there is an overlap here. It goes past that, and my goal is to have it cross at a 1/4 inch down, and this one is cutting it awfully. Oh, I moved it. Okay, cross at a 1/4 inch down, so that when I do my seam here, I still get that little point right there. I want enough here so that I can sew past it and still get a point. So I'm going to put this on, and honestly, if I have to move it in just a little bit to get enough, I might, to make sure I have a 1/4 inch there, and then that here. And then if you want, you can do that double line, and you've got, out of this, you've got 4 little half square triangle extras. These will fold back. That gave me a nice 1/4 inch there. And this will fold back. And so when you're finished, the back of your block looks like this. All of these pressed out. And the front has 1/4 inches. See, that one's a little tight. I'm going to have to pay attention to that when I put it in the block. And that is a square in a square. There are other ways to do this. This is not the only way. This is the easiest way for measuring. You can measure and cut 4 triangles and add them on to a square. And you can now take this and add triangles onto it to make another square in a square. But this is the way that I like to make these square in a square blocks. It's the easiest, and the measurement is so easy, half the finished size plus 1/2 inch.